My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E. From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your F.A.T.E. And we're rolling. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of F.A.T.E. From Atheism to Enlightenment. How you doing today? On this show, we have a wonderful woman named Yuri. She's a moon priestess. She does spiritual guidance, counseling, certified hypnotherapist. She wears a lot of hats, and she's here to tell us all about it. Welcome, Yuri. Welcome to your F.A.T.E. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm great. I'm doing really well, and it's really pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your time with me and your information. It's going to be super helpful. I'm going to dive right into it. Can you tell me about your background, how you got on your path, how long you've been on your path, who comes to you for help, all the things,
Hey. Okay, so where do I start? Gosh. So I just start as the time from I got here. I came from Korea originally when I was about 18, and I went to Parsons School of Design for a fashion major. And I worked in New York City as a clothing buyer in Soho, which was what I dreamt about. And because I'm a beach person, I need ocean, and New York was too cold. I made a move to California about, wow, that was 20 plus years ago. I moved to California. And I was still in fashion design, fashion merchandising, clothing field. Successful. I was making six-figure income as an fashionista in downtown LA. So
nice.
I was doing pretty good. That was my pre-healing year. And then what happened was I'm good. I have no worries with finances. I have a great lifestyle. I live in Santa Monica. Um, just go to the beach on the weekends, and I would struggle with relationships. I would have a hard time finding guy because I'm like over 30 years old, and it's time to get married,
Yeah,
right?
that old
That's what
societal. Yep.
right. That's what I was told. But I couldn't really find soulmate connections or someone who I would consider to get married to. I was hitting my mid-30s, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I kind of went actually back to church to pray to God.
Oh, interesting.
Actually.
Okay.
Well, I grew up as a
Okay.
Christian, and I was a Sunday school teacher actually. But as you are being a single in your 20s, you kind of
Distance.
move
Yeah.
away from there. And then, you get a little desperate, and then I don't know what's happening with my life. And then I went right back to a church.
Yes. Yes. I've heard that story before.
Right. And asking God, what's wrong with me? Why I can't meet my soulmate? Everybody else is getting married. This time I was going a little bit deeper and really pray to God. What's happening with my life? Because I would go out on dates, and I just couldn't connect to anybody. I couldn't connect to anyone. I would go on 20, 30 dates, and I couldn't meet anybody. So I was like, okay, maybe does this mean
Is
maybe
it
I'm not
me?
supposed, is it
Yeah.
me? So all of these questions arose, and at some point I was like, okay, God, I surrender. I surrender. Wherever I need to be, and I'm going to just stop this struggle to be in a certain relationship, and just lead me wherever you want to lead me. And then boom, what happened was I was in Florida in Tampa area where I was consulting some of my retail business clients, stayed in his house, sleeping one night. I was in an air conditioned room that was like maybe 69-degree air conditioned room. And middle of the night, I'm hearing my bed shaking and I'm hearing and feeling angels and demons fighting over my soul. And I'm awakened at that point because I'm sweating just out of like just nowhere. I shouldn't be sweating in that. I don't have a fever, but I'm just sweating or over my body. And I was like, what's happening? Although I wasn't scared, but I could see and feel what's happening around me. It was this angel like beings and devil like being were literally fighting over my soul.
Oh my God.
I joined in and then I joined the team of angel and I said, yeah, well, you're not taking my soul. I'm going to stay with my angel. So that happened for a while, for about, I would say 30 minutes or so.
Wow.
And the devil went away. I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't take anything, any drugs or nothing. I was just regular person at the time. But it just happened. And then I started to talk to God a little bit more closely from that time. Whether you call it God or the universe or divine.
Right. So
God,
so your first spiritual real connection that you're going through is really this angel and demon scenario that's playing out is your first awakening in
yeah.
a way of knowing that there's more in that way.
Well, I mean, at that time, I identified them as an angel and devil because that's what I knew. I didn't know. Now, what I can say, it's my higher self and my ego self was fighting over my soul.
Well, then I'll shut up and let you finish the story because that's fascinating.
Okay. So then I started talking to God, and then what the God told me at the time was, stop what you're doing, the fashion, and go out and start helping heal. And then I was like, I had no idea what the healing industry was like, or, other than people giving massage or acupuncture. So I was like, what was I supposed to do? How do I heal people? I don't really know what to do or had any interest in any of this part of the industry other than nutrition and superfoods, herbs. Those were some of my interests. So I was like, how do I heal God? And then he or she said that you will heal as an intuitive because you're healed with love, just like Jesus did. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. But anyway, I'll find a way. And a week later, I met my ex-husband,
Oh wow.
who actually was in healing industry. So he actually was the one who guided me through a lot in the beginning of the stage, herbs, superfoods, and healers from all over the country. So I studied to kind of navigate my path with him. But immediately, whenever I would go and do any kind of events, people would start asking me questions and wanting advice. So I started doing just kind of intuitive counseling from the very beginning. That's all I could say about myself. I just kind of could feel and I knew what they needed to hear from the God because I'm talking to God all the time. So that's how I started. The other add on was my ex-husband was struggling with anger issues, very high temperament that was unbearable. So to cure that, because it was threatening our relationship, we basically went to Amazon, Andes, or Chinese healers, so wherever we could get our hands on to help him heal. We thought maybe there's a situation with brain or whatever was going on. He took any herbs or medicine that is out there or treatments. But it was tough journey, but it actually got me to learn a lot more about what healing means. So I struggled in that relationship and I still didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I just knew that I needed to do something in this industry, in this field. Naturally, I was doing circles and monthly gathering because we were working with some herbs and superfood company that we had a community who needed some support. So I was doing circles and visioning from 18 years ago in our house and supported people, worked tremendously with Amazonian herbs. And I was introduced to ayahuasca at the time. I didn't really have a call that I needed ayahuasca at the time, but it was always around me. And finally, 11 years later, we
Oh,
separated.
wow.
Yeah, we separated. I just couldn't do it anymore because my healer at the time informed that if you don't get out of this relationship or do something about it, you're gonna get cancer. He was feeling
Oh,
into that was coming. And also I was feeling that in.
all that
So
negative
I was
energy is getting stuck in there and creating
oh yeah,
that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So my whole body from my top of the head to the bottom of my toenails on the right side was basically I felt like I was getting
Oh,
paralyzed.
wow.
It just was stuck and it was just not. I would go see acupuncturist or massage therapist every weekend, sometimes twice of the treatment. And I also tried many different things because it was just getting frozen. So I was like, I have two little kids who needs me and I can't just get
Yeah.
paralyzed. That got me out of the relationship and I moved on. I felt so much better
Mm.
and peaceful. I moved out. And I was introduced to ayahuasca journeys here in Los Angeles, actually. And that's when I got my second spiritual awakening from God, saying very same thing, same exact thing that he said to me 12 years ago. Stop what you're doing because I was still one foot in the healing
Mm.
field and one foot in
Gotcha.
fashion because that was my my
Yeah. I was going to
bills.
say, because you got to pay the bills. Yeah. Mm.
Exactly. So I was walking both field and I wasn't very committed to neither field. And I was basically just kind of like going about it. And then God threw it back at me. Okay, stop what you're doing and go out and help heal others. I'm like, okay, all right. Now you do. How do I do this? I went back to that ceremony for the second time, and that's when it came to me. Uh, Something with this work, something in the ceremony, counseling people, helping people through deeper work is what you're supposed to be doing. So I committed myself to do a series of healing journeys with plant medicines and child work. So I went really deep into this. Uh, I did chi work, universal Tao work with Mantak Chia,
Wow.
emotional wood, hypnotherapy. So for the last 5, 6 years, I created like 5 different certification in this field. I became certified uh, licensed hypnotherapist. All of these work to heal myself and also, also still my ex-husband.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've also done a few ayahuasca journeys, and they are just so transformative. And um, if what advice would you give somebody that is actually thinking about, whether they're having a healing crisis, or they're going through a divorce or a relationship? What advice do you have for people that are thinking about doing an ayahuasca journey And what type of people do you feel like should be seeking that type of medicine, as far as you're concerned?
I think and feel that if you have an opportunity of any kind of plant medicine
Yeah,
journeys, I say do it 100%.
absolutely.
I don't care who you are and what you're going through. If there is an opportunity coming your way, do
Yeah,
it. But what I have to tell you is that make sure your guides are clean.
yeah. It is a lot about who's serving you that medicine, isn't it? And the setting that you're in, and setting the intention before you go in there, and preparing your body before you go into ceremony. It is much more than what people might imagine, as far as just going in and taking medicine without any conscious awareness or thought about what you're doing. Um,
Exactly. It's most
yeah.
important. And I tell you why. So my ex have done 40, maybe 50 plus serious ayahuasca,
Oh
iboga,
my
San
God.
Pedro's for the period of maybe 15 years when we're together and
I
after.
mean, Iboga is, I hear, the big Monty. I haven't done Iboga yet, but I hear that's pretty
Yeah.
hardcore.
Right. Now, doing a medicine is one thing, right? But what's more important from what I learned, because what I did was actually I became a facilitator for this type of ceremonies. And I facilitate and I also integrate people. What I saw was that if you are not integrating into your practical life, it doesn't mean anything.
Let's just say, for those that don't understand what the integration part of the ayahuasca or plant medicine journeys are, is once you go through your ceremony, you always need to sit and do some sort of integration of processing what feelings, what you saw, what it means. So that's when Yuri's talking about integration. That is like the key to doing the journey, is the post surgical operation of what that journey was and how it was what it was supposed to serve you. So,
So through our plant medicine journeys of any kind psychedelics or plant medicine journeys, your veils goes down, your wall goes down. So you're gonna be able to see more of the truth of who you are,
yeah,
right? Right. Okay, now that's great. And then a lot of people get amazing messages out of that and heal a lot. That's the truth. But if you don't integrate properly, what you got is one thing, but how you're applying it to your daily life is another thing, which I don't see a lot happening in this field,
yeah,
unfortunately. Because what I see is that people keep coming back and coming back and coming back, including my ex, that, oh, it feels great and amazing. I got in touch with divine and I talked to Jesus and all that stuff. But then, okay, that was great. But then why is your relationship same as before? How come you're not really shifting and changing? You're not enlightened yet,
yes, yes,
right?
yes,
Why are you still repeating the same pattern that you repeated prior your ceremonies and prior 10 ceremony? Why are you living the same way? Why are you not
yeah,
shifting,
yeah,
right?
yep. Spiritual
So
progress in
that's,
some way or another. You have to, you sit in these ceremonies to get
yeah.
progress in your journey.
Right. So that's a must that you have to incorporate if you're gonna do the plant
Great.
ceremonies. And the person who's serving, guiding, it's very because that energy is the main energies that is um, creating the space.
100%.
My ex did a many 30 plus medicine work with shaman, American white man shaman who was doing cocaine on the side, who was doing sexual
Trust. Oh my
sacraments
God.
working to the visitors. right? So that's the energy that center had down in Amazon. And a lot of people had complained about it, but it was never really brought up because there's no court that they cannot go to police for that. It's just middle of nowhere. People got raped and sexually abused, but none of that was coming to the surface. It does happen though. It does happen. It happened. And I hear a lot of stories. There are a lot of complaints about this particular man, but it's hidden away. So it's very important that the setting, the guys who you're doing it with.
100%. You really do have to do your research. You have to find out who has sat with this guy, and you really have to make sure it's safe, that there's pure intentions behind it, and you have
Yeah.
to be careful. So let's talk about a little bit about some of the other stuff that you do. Past life regressions. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, how that helps people?
Right. Yes, past life regression is one of my main modality that I utilize for healing. The way that we are functioning in our present life is all from our past life. So the patterns that we lived in our past life or our childhood, if it's unhealed, we continue to drag it to our present life. So often we are in the relationship with our partners, and then they are very similar to one of our parents. Actually, if you really look into it,
Wow.
you are repeating that connection you had with your parents, with your partner. Most times, or opposite, because it was so traumatic. So you just can't be with someone like that. And then sometimes you attract somebody completely different. That's also possible. But basically, you are healing as we are living. That's what we do. We're healing also at the same time. We are expanding, we're evolving and growing. That's what our soul wants to do. But if there's something from your past life that got unhealed, right? And it's traumatic, then we do make sure that we bring it back to our current life because we want to heal that part of us as a soul.
What kind of healings can people expect from a past life regression therapy session?
So many people come because they are like, okay, I just know that there's something going on with me and this relationship that is relating to my past life. Some people just know, right? And then they come, and of course, then we do a regression. And then all the scenes that they get to see are related to your current life, current relationship, 100%. They don't know what they're saying because they're half asleep. But when we're done with the regression, it's almost like same story, just a different time, different people, different sex maybe, but it's the same thing. The same thing. So it's the same patterns that you brought it in. So what I do is we go back to that place. I call it time traveling healing. We go back and we shift that timeline to something different, right? And then we don't have to worry about what happens in between the time. When I do this reframing from the past with you, then your future would have to have something different. That's just the
Universal
how it
laws,
works.
yeah.
Exactly, right. So we create this together, me and you. If you were to do it, we create a different story, and then you are in it. You are actually imagining that story, even though this is not what you did before. You are in a multidimensional setting at this time, and you get to recreate how you actually are coming to your present moment, right? We don't have to know in between, but now when you come back, you feel so much lighter. First of all, you feel like the bags that you're putting on your shoulder feels lighter. And sometimes people are like, how come I felt betrayal so much before the session, but I just don't have it anymore? You just get so much lighter because you don't have to drag those emotional baggage any longer. the tissues and
It's
yes.
I'm certified in emotion code as well, and I don't practice, I work on myself, but it's always fascinating to me when I pull out anger that was in my stored eye from my ancestor that had been that actually I was having eye issues and it improved my eye, not dramatically, but enough
Mhm.
to be like, there is something there to releasing a trapped emotion that allows something else in your body to perform better because it was messing up the energy flow in that area. It's fascinating.
Right. So I'll give you another. So this woman wanted to get pregnant. And then she would go and do everything medically to try to get pregnant, right? Because she just can't get pregnant. So we did a regression session for her. We did past life regression and inner child healing work. There was a reason why she couldn't get pregnant because as a child she couldn't survive, right, from her past
Oh,
life.
wow.
So simply, so she couldn't let that happen to her child. So there was the fear of like, oh, I couldn't survive. I was hurt. I was in pain, and I was a little child. Um, and this is giving her. I got to do everything I can so that I wouldn't pass it on to my child.
Yeah. That makes
Right.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So if you see that, because now you are, wait a second, you're coming with your present mind. So like, I don't have to repeat that. That was from my past life. Right. But why do I have to? Because you don't know. Because you don't know why this is feeling is it under your subconscious.
Yep.
So once you have that understanding, just understanding what happened was inside of your subconscious are very empowering.
Yes, I agree.
And then she gets pulled right away.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm so fascinated, because I'm been on my own healing journey and I got very, very ill and it kind of launched my entire life in a direction that I wasn't prepared for. And, you know, I grew up without having really religion or anything like that. In the last few years, through finding my healing, and you can't but help get into spirituality and energy and trot down that road. It has really been so fascinating to hear all of these stories of instantaneous healing, things like that that are happening all around us that are not mainstream, that are verifiable evidence that there's so much more going on that we don't know about. We don't have it all figured out, and we need to start understanding that the way in which medicine
Yeah.
works now is not really how the human body works. It's
Right.
not, there's way more to us than just the materialistic. It is frequency, vibration, energy, much more in that than it is material stuff. Let's go on to something else. Why don't you
Okay.
talk about new moon ceremonies, how impactful they can be? I actually, full disclosure, sat in your latest new moon ceremony and it was just out of sheer luck, but nothing's an accident. So I was supposed to be there,
Yeah.
But tell us about what those are and how powerful they can be.
So I led circles for more than 10 years monthly. It wasn't necessarily geared for learn, but monthly we gather as a community and then we set the intentions. We understand what we need to get through, get out of ourselves. So this is called the visioning process that was actually created by Michael Beckwith. Reverend Michael Beckwith was the creator for that. And I actually work with one of the main reverend named Kate Roger for this process for last 10 plus years under her instructions. So I was doing that and I started to lead some women's circle in LA. And with the COVID, when I moved to Sedona, as I started to do women's circle, we were picking a date and it was just like, well, oh, it happens to be a women date that when we're picking. So I was like, okay, well, why don't we call it full moon ceremony? And I started doing the full moon ceremony. I wasn't ever intent to, oh, I got to do full moon ceremony. It just kind of like
Oh,
happened.
yeah.
And then I started to do full moon ceremony when nobody else wanted to get together because of the COVID. But there are still people who wanted to get together in person, and I continuously opened my space for that. It was a smaller gathering, but I became this Sedona's moon priestess. I was doing full moon ceremonies and new moon ceremonies and everywhere in Sedona. So I'm working with the moon phase. I know that we are in the calendar under sun, right? And then we have moon calendar is a slightly different. The sun represents our daytime, more of masculine. The moon presents our feminine, more of a dark, more of an inner world, right? And then we were just out much too much. So we are all about just go out and do. That's how we lived our life for last, hundreds of years. And we are realizing that we are completely out of balance. So we need to bring in more of the feminine, more of that's why the shadow work, the going deeper into it is very popular right now in healing field because we have completely ignored it, including myself. So I work with full moon. When full moon's happening, there are a lot of emotions are going through with most of people because the moon's hitting us. And it's hitting, well, you see the ocean waves.
Yeah.
When it's hitting the
Yes.
ocean waves, exactly what's happening within ourselves.
Yeah.
It's hitting us because there a lot that needs to be worked through. So during the full moon, when full moon is happening, if you just don't care emotionally, right? And then sometimes it just hits you, like ocean waves hit you.
Yep.
And then people are, oh, yeah, it was full moon and I got hit moon. No, because you ignore it. You ignore it and then you don't want to work it through. That's why there is a resistance. But what I do with full moon is that let's have a full moon support our journey. Instead of resisting, right? And get hit by the full moon waves. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to go with you as you support my journey. Light me and I will look inside of what's happening within me and I will work that through. So we release with the full moon. And as you release what's possibly on your way, then you don't have to fear that resistance and blocks keep hitting at you because that turmoil that you're feeling during the full moon is because there is a resistance.
Yeah.
Right? You shift your position and let the moon be the back burner to
Yeah.
then you can move
Yeah.
forward. It's for move forward.
I love
New moon. Yeah. So new moon is another thing that it's all about new beginning. So if you are working with that energy, it's all about setting the new intention, cleaning out of your field completely. So new ideas will come out, new relationship can happen. So it's all about everything new.
I love that.
So with Firma, you clean it out, you let it all go, right? So then with new moon, you're able to set the clearness. Yes, you circle that through. That's what you do. You don't only receive goodness, you receive also something that is not very pleasant. We receive everything because we're creating everything. So anything and everything that is happening in our life is all happening.
Yes.
Right? What do you do with it? Right? What do you do with it? You don't just pile that up, right? Good stuff that is happening. You want to look at it and be grateful for it. You keep it and expand with it, right? So that's what's great about new moon. Expand with that,
I love
right? Full moon, if it's something that is not serving you, then with the full moon, you let it go so that you're creating a space for new to come in.
Yes.
New moon and full moon are different. Yeah, they are two different ceremonies and settings. And that's why we do. So I open my new moon and full moon ceremony over Zoom, so anybody can join you from anywhere. And it's also not set in a price; it's donation based. Anybody can join in. It's kind of like how churches set.
Yeah.
Like church is there, and people can come and go. You can either do any offering or not.
Yeah.
I won't have it open without doctrines.
Mm.
And any kind of religious base. So people have a place for them to come at least twice a month for healing and releasing and connecting.
And
And
even though it was unplanned, my ceremony with you, the one big takeaway is everybody there had very good energy. Like even that night, I just felt an energy in me that I hadn't felt before. And I was like, "Oh, I bet you it was that ceremony. It gave me like an energetic lift of sorts,
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It lives.
yeah, it's amazing. So I highly encourage, we'll get to how people get in contact with you, but I would highly encourage anyone to do that, especially if you're wanting to bring something or rid yourself of something at a certain time. Like I wasn't super prepared, so I wasn't really in that thought kind of mode, but I could see where people had brought what they knew what they were needing to work on or what they wanted, and they were willing to put it out there and everybody, acknowledge it. All right,
Right.
let's talk about something that a lot of people have no idea is so important, and that's maybe breath work and breathing and what that does for the body and how
Yes.
that can open up a lot within. You want to talk about vortex breath work and how you help people with that?
So breathwork was another thing that I started to practice when I started to practice in Sedona. So I learned breathwork, holotropic breathwork for myself. And what I also became was hypnotherapist. So what I do in vortex breathwork is I kind of combine them together. So it's not just about breath. I actually almost don't let people do the type of breath work that like a Wim Hof type of breath. I don't recommend people to just get yourself too high like that.
Mm.
It's about going in by inhaling. It's again, inhaling new oxygen into your body as much as you can. And then you exhale, exhale the old. That's the concept. Bringing in new
Mm.
and let old go. So it's similar to full moon. And I also do sometimes breath work during the full moon ceremonies because it's an amazing releasing technique. Yeah. As you let go, then you are able to engage. So it's another way to engage your past life, actually. When you're doing breath work with me, many people get to go to this different realm or having an encounter with some places or beings or past lives. Something will show up to many people during, and the people will also feel something happening around their body where the blockage is at. And breathing through will help that remove again negative energies that is stuck in your body. So for people who have issues with the physical challenges, emotional issues, it's just all very similar. It's just a little bit different technique and settings, but it's very effective if you don't want to take any kind of plant, because some people are afraid to do any kind of psychedelic medicine. It's a great way for you to actually experience something like
Yeah.
that uh, without, and it's very impactful and powerful.
It is. It's life transforming. There was life before I did plant medicine, and then there's life after I did plant medicine. Once you've experienced it, it's an evolution that kind of just carries you with for some reason. But I highly recommend it to anybody. I feel like our entire humanity would change so much if more people were open to having those types of experiences. And even though I'm aware, everyone has their own journey and we're all not here to experience everything, I do feel like there is a piece of the puzzle that's missing in a lot of our lives, and having some sort of plant medicine journey can kind of awaken that spark in you to look within and to understand that we're here to do more than just do a 9 to 5 job and make as much money as you can before you die. Now, I have another question. You say that
Yes.
you talk to me about channeling Apache elders and guiding you in your journey. Talk to me about channeling.
Channeling. So when people are talking about channeling, people are the one as the channelers are saying, oh, I'm channeling this and that, or this angel or that being. So I have a slightly different opinion
Oh,
about
I'd love to
that.
hear it.
There is a possibility other beings are coming to you, but most times it's actually you're talking to your higher self.
I've heard that as well.
So when I'm having a session with you and I'm channeling your higher self, I'm channeling your higher self talking to me through ether, and then I'm actually speaking it back to you, right? But then within that, Trinity happens. So there is I, and there is you, and there is a God. So the God, the higher self. So we are actually being together. We are circling the information together actually in this space. And yes, there's a possibility for other beings to come into, because there are other beings and spirits out there. If you are weak, then dark spirit can come and invade you.
Gotcha.
More likely, right? But if you are a strong, bright light, then with my experience, that they don't have a space to get into you. So when I am channeling, it's basically just that. It's your higher self, my higher self, right? With the divine God, we are communing at the time. That's how, right. So it's a little bit different.
It is. I love it though. How do you resolve
I
your
brought,
organized religion with your spirituality? Do you still practice a religion? How do you feel about organized religion when it comes to spirituality?
well, there are some truth in it, and there's some great teachings in it, and there are completely manipulated, in my opinion. Not everything is truth. A lot of truths are hiding or taken away, in my opinion. And a lot of this information came to me through my plant medicine journey, because I question everything. There are things that I questioned, even living as a Christian. What? It wasn't making sense. So as I started to do, I've done a lot of plant medicine journeys. So, and like I said, I do now Amanita muscaria plant journey open, because it's a new way to do it, and it's very much legal way to do the ceremonies. Yes, but this kind of plant medicine journey, which having you to connect to divine the God, taught me and informed me everything about the Bibles and other religions. So I got pretty much activity. If I just had some time, I would rewrite the Bible code, actually, what's hidden in the Bible, to make better sense of
We
it.
only have like 10 minutes, but what would you recap and say overall is the biggest misconception that people have of the Bible or of organized religion, or what do you think?
Yes, it is basically to serve God by sacrificing yourself. Yes,
Service
because
to others, like self-sacrifice, service to others.
other
Yeah, I agree.
service to
Yeah.
others.
It's
Yeah,
love, right?
the
That's
biggest.
like the biggest takeaway is that,
It's it's teaching us to love
yeah.
others, but it's teaching us not necessarily love yourself. There is no part from all the teachings how to love yourself. The self-love thing that we are facing right now is pretty new.
Yeah.
We didn't learn this from anyone, or any religion teaches you. All the religion teaches you to love everybody else, but you can be the second or the last, or sacrifice all of that. And then it was confused by being selfish, but it's got nothing to do with being selfish. We are here as an I. We're not here to live others' life. We're here to live our life, right? I'm here to live my life. And you want to have a great relationship with others by inspiring others, by you standing up for yourself and then stand on your feet powerfully. That's what we are here for. We're not here to just be the maids of others and serve others' purpose. We all have a purpose in our
I
life.
agree.
And we are here to live our life.
Completely agree. We all have a soul purpose. I believe that we all know subconsciously, we all contracted to come down here to fulfill, our purpose here. And I believe that we're all unfortunately sidetracked too much. Most people never ever find their soul purpose or are able to fulfill their soul purpose because they're just, lack of resources to be able to do anything but get on the rat wheel of life.
Right. Exactly. And that's why what you're doing is very important, Faith. So it's not about someone was more open for plant medicine journeys or healing. When you and I are talking, even though you and I are talking, and let's just say 100 people are watching this or 1,000 people are watching, of course, it's going to be powerful. But even if, you had a handful of people are watching, there is energy that you and I are creating
Yes.
that is expanding to the field, that is activating for someone who was ignored on this type of method of healing. So somehow it's touching their
Yes.
heart. So that's how the activation happens. Like I said, when I got in touch with God 18 years ago, that wasn't because I was always interested in, because somebody over at somewhere was doing what you and I are doing that activated my heart. That's how I now am able to serve hundreds and thousands of people, right? So we have to live on our purpose.
Yeah.
And then just the living that is going to influence others. You don't have to be an influencer with 100,000 followers to make this work.
I love what you just said. It rings true to me and it is powerful. It's true. And I do hope my podcast reaches as many people. I am hoping to give people a little bit of a different perspective, opening their minds, entertaining other ways of being here. Giving people a little bit of personal power is always a good thing. And, as long as I'm going to march through this path with all good intentions until I'm not. So I'm going to keep going. Let's talk about how people can get a hold of you if they want your services. Are you mainly online? Do you do only in-person things? What is your business model and mission, my friend?
Yes. So I service in both online and in person. So if you would like to do any type of intuitive reading, past life regression, inner child healing work, or spiritual counseling, we can work online over Zoom or telephone sessions. If you would like to do ceremonies, powerful plant amanita or full moon ceremonies, breathwork ceremonies, I hold it regularly in person in Los Angeles, or some people fly me into their states and we can do group ceremonies there as well. So they are all possible to do. You just have to contact me, and I'm in Instagram under Heal with Yuri. I'm also in YouTube's, TikToks under Heal with Yuri. I have a website called Heal with Yuri. So it's HEAL with URI.
You heard it here, folks. Heal with Yuri. Healing with Yuri. Look her up. I'm going to put all of that in the show notes. Yuri, I promise to keep you under an hour and I'm going to stick to that promise, but I really want to tell you how grateful I am that you took the time to talk to me about everything we talked about. And I'm really hoping this reaches as many people out there as we can, because it would be great if we could keep this. I'm hoping, yes, keep it going. Raising the consciousness of our planet, I think, is the best thing that we can do in this scary dystopian time in which we're living. But ladies and gentlemen, Yuri, fantastic interview, healer. Check her out. I highly recommend it. Even if you start out with a new moon ceremony, get in touch with her. She has deep, deep, profound ways to heal you, and I highly recommend it. On that note, we are going to end this episode of From Atheism to Enlightenment, and I'd like to thank my guest, Yuri. Hey, thank you for coming aboard. I appreciate your time. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, journey well, my friends. Alrighty, guys, that was a wrap on episode 6, Healing with Yuri. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I found her story to be fascinating. It's really been enlightening to listen to other people talk about how they have stepped on their spiritual path. I mean, she went from working in the high-end fashion industry to having a lucid dream in Tampa, which launched her into an entirely different direction in her life. And now she is, many years later, a very gifted healer, channeler. And I find it fascinating when people are finding their soul mission. It is almost always in service to others. That is the running thread through everyone. We are here to serve others. It's fascinating. Already next week on Fate, From Atheism to Enlightenment, I will have Edna on. And Edna is also a spiritual healer now, channeler. She tells her story, how she got to become the healer she is today. I'm finding these stories to be super enlightening. I hope you are too. I have some great stuff coming up for you. If you want to follow the show, you can follow me on Instagram at F.A.T.E podcast. I'm on YouTube at Fate Channel, F.A.T.E on YouTube. Follow the show. Give me some feedback. Let me know if there's something you want me to talk about in the future. Super open to suggestions. If you really want to support the show, I'm on Venmo at Christy-Busby. Go ahead, look me up, send me a tip. I love the encouragement. I have been getting a lot of positive feedback about the show, and it's given me the encouragement and the confidence to move forward and continue making this a thing. So I really appreciate all the positivity. Stay with me, journey with me. I have some pretty cool people on deck coming up. I have Dave Schrader, the paranormal guy. He's going to be here in the next couple of weeks. And I have a super gifted psychic healer coming up in the next 3 weeks or so. So please continue with me, guys. It's getting super interesting. With that, gang, thank you so much. And welcome to your fate. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye.